Hello and welcome back to RGM English Literature and Language. Today in this video we will talk about William Wordsworth. Let's begin. William Wordsworth is a major poet in English literature. He is perhaps the greatest poet of nature in the world. He succeeded to a great extent in simplifying the language of poetry and freeing it from the gaudy and inane phraseology of preceding century. He deserves considerable credit for his contributions to English poetic language and poetry. Such a great poetic personality was born at Cockermouth, Cumberland, in the English Lake District on the 7th of April 1770. Wordsworth wandered from one place to another during the next few years. His dream of an ideal world of liberty, equality and fraternity was also shattered because of the bloody events in France. He was deeply influenced by Rousseau's philosophy. In 1795, he settled at Resdown in Dorsetshire. His sister Dorothy also lived with him there. With a calmed mind, he finished his gloomy poem entitled Guilt and Sorrow. The next poem was The Ruined College, which was composed there. Wordsworth stayed at Resdown for about 2 years, and then he visited St. Coleridge, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, at Nether Stoneham. Wordsworth and Coleridge became a healthy poetic inspiration to each other. Both of them planned the publication of a joint poetic volume containing the poems of each other. His first important literary work was Lyrical Ballads, which was published in 1798 with St. Coleridge. Then Preface to Lyrical Ballads, 1800, Poems in 2 volumes, 1807. Wordsworth is perhaps the greatest poet in English Romantic poetry. His poetic volumes are packed with striking passages on nature or its subjects. Wordsworth thought that the best way to unfold the mysteries of life and nature was through a purely poetic interpretation. This will give us a clue to his religion of nature. He was drawn to nature not because of her beauty or her sights and sounds, though he was by no means insensible to this, because in nature he discovered sources of influence that profoundly affected human life. Nature was to him a joy because nature served the higher ends of human life. Nature became doubly dear to Wordsworth because in nature he heard the music of humanity that wove a harmony around him and made him feel more than ever that all that we behold is full of blessings. He sincerely believes that nature is a great moral teacher. He looks at her as a worshipper. That's why William Wordsworth is considered as the prophet of nature. Wordsworth's greatest poem, entitled The Prelude, is considered to be his autobiography in verse. The most important thing is that Wordsworth also wrote a play, The Borderers, but he could not get the permission to stage the play. John Keble praised Wordsworth as the poet of humanity. In 1838, Wordsworth received an honorary doctorate in civil law from the University of Durham. And later in 1843, Wordsworth became poet laureate when Robert Peel was the Prime Minister. His love for nature leads him to see that man occupies the central place in the scheme of nature. He also feels that man is nourished and ennobled by his contact with nature. Nature and human life are inseparably interrelated in the poetry of Wordsworth. He is not only a poet of nature but of man as well. His poetry of man is marked by a high idealism and great optimism. He has preached that man can rise to the highest level of moral and spiritual stature by living honestly in the lap of nature. To get more informative videos like this, please subscribe our channel and stay connected with us. Thank you.